Hello and welcome to the SuperTables Getting Started course series. In this series, we will take a look at the different capabilities of SuperTables and learn how to use them. Let me give you a quick overview. In this session number 1, we will talk about the general setup of SuperTables as Viz Extension or dashboard extension. With these basics, we are then ready to dive into the different features of the extension that you might need to create the ultimate table views for your purposes. You can watch the videos in order or simply pick the ones you currently need to improve your Tableau dashboards. If you want to follow along in any of the courses and try it out for yourself, you can find the download link to the workbook used in this series in the description below. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, SuperTables works as dashboard extension and for Tableau versions from 2024.2 onwards, also as Viz Extension. Both extension types have the exact same functionalities, so you can use both the dashboard and the Viz extension equally to create advanced and interactive table views within only a few minutes, just like the one you can see right here. Our example dashboard contains 3 elements: a map, a stacked bar chart, and a table created with the SuperTables extension. SuperTables delivers a lot of handy features. For example, we can simply search for entries. We can also filter entries, just like we know it from Excel. We can apply different sorting mechanisms. We can also freely move around columns. And we can also adjust the column width and expand our column groups. On top of that, SuperTables of course also interacts with the other dashboard elements through dashboard actions. Okay, so let's create our first SuperTables visual together, similar to the one that we see right here. We will first use the Viz extension. To do so, we will leave the presentation mode and open a new worksheet. We give it a name. For example, first super table. Then we need to access our SuperTables extension. To do this, we need to head over to the Marks card and open the drop-down menu. All the way at the bottom, we can already see our Viz extensions. SuperTables is already in here, as it has already been used in the dashboard we just saw. In new workbooks, SuperTables or any other extension would not show up right away. So let's imagine it's not there. To add a new extension to our workbook, we can click on Add Extension. From here, we access our local Viz extensions. Accessing a local Viz extension requires that we have it saved on our local drive. In my case, it's already here, stored in my Tableau repository in the default extensions folder. If you do not have the extension yet, you can download it from the Apps for Tableau extension portal for free for up to 5 users. The link to the portal is in the description below. So let's select our extension. Okay, so we have now selected the SuperTables extension, and we can see that the Marks card looks a little different. We have 2 new fields, dimensions and measures. These are the fields we need to create our SuperTable views. And it's very simple. From our dataset, in this case, the sample superstore dataset, we simply grab the measures and dimensions we want to have in our table view. Let's start with the dimensions. We can simply double-click and add all the dimensions that we need. For example, category. And we can see that the table is starting to build up. Let's continue with subcategory, manufacturer, and product name. We also want to have country, state, and city in there. Then we also want to have our customer names, the segment of the customers, our order ID, and also the ship mode. Then we also need our measures. In this case, we are interested in profit, quantity, and sales. And as we can see, the extension automatically realizes that those are meant to be measures. Lastly, we also need our date fields. So we will double click order date and ship date. In SuperTables, it typically makes sense to change the date granularity to exact date. In that way, we have a proper date value for each row in our table. Let's also do this for ship date. As we can see, we already have a functional table. All we need to do now is some final configurations to put the columns in the right order and make it look nice. To switch around the column orders, we can simply use drag and drop. For example, we want to have our order ID in the beginning of the table. To do this, we simply click and hold the column and move it over and release it. Let's fast forward the rest of the arrangements. After we are done arranging our columns, it should look something like this. We've got the order ID, order date, ship mode, product name, category, subcategory, and so on. While this is already a perfectly functional table, it could need some more formatting to make it more convenient for our users. To configure our table formatting, we need to access the configuration menu by clicking the Format Extension button in the Marks card. In here, we have plenty of different options. We have general settings, we can configure how our data is being displayed, we can adjust the appearance of the whole table and its components, we can configure the look of our tables in the Themes menu, we can also add user restrictions, and lots more. In this video, we will focus on the Data tab. The core features of the other tabs are addressed in the other videos of this playlist. Inside the Data tab, we have several menu options. In the Dimensions tab, we can make configurations for each dimension in our table. Let's take a look at order ID, for example. In here, we can, for example, change the name of the column, enable or disable different column properties, select the filter style, adjust text styles, choose different colors for this particular column, and also add conditional coloring. For now, we will just set the text style to big for the headers and the values. To confirm the changes, we simply click Apply. In the background, we can now already see that our order IDs are now printed in big font. Similar to the dimensions, we can also adjust our measures in the Measures menu. Let's start with profit. Similar to the dimensions, we have the same configuration options, and additionally, up at the top, we can also change the number formatting. So let's change our profit to currency and the decimal places to only 1. Apply. Lastly, we will do the same for our sales measure, switch it to currency, and also 1 decimal place. Apply and close. Let's quickly deactivate the tooltip so it's not in our way anymore. Click OK. And if we move all the way to the end of the table, we can see that our measures, sales and profit, now have 1 decimal place and the US dollar symbol in front of it. Now the last thing we want to do is group our columns to make the tables less bulky. To do this, we reopen our configuration menu. In the Data section, we then move down to Column Groups. In here, we can then select Make a Column Group. Let's create a column group of all columns that indicate location. So we will call this column group Location. In the drop-down menu all the way at the bottom, we can then select which columns belong into this group. In this case, we need city, we need country, and we need state, which we can also search. By using the eye icons, we can define which columns should be visible upon opening the dashboard and which ones should be hidden. Let's only have city visible at all times. To see what it looks like, we simply apply and close again. As we can see, if we move over to the right a little bit, we now have a location column group, which, if we expand, shows all the columns that are in there. All we need to do now is repeat the steps for our other data groups. Let's quickly fast forward until everything is done. After we are done creating all of our column groups, we apply and close again to see the changes. With the new column groups, our super table is way more convenient to look at and navigate around. And that's it. We created the first basic but neat and dynamic table view within minutes. Okay, so now let's take a look at how to do this with the SuperTables dashboard extension. Using a dashboard extension works more or less the same. We simply go ahead and open a new dashboard, and in the Objects section we can see the extension object and add this to our view. From here we need to add our local dashboard extension, which you can download from our extensions portal for free. Since in the dashboard itself we cannot drag and drop any data pills into the view like we did in the Viz extension, we first have to create a source sheet that contains all the data we want to use. To do this, we simply go ahead and create another worksheet. And we give it a name so we can find it later. In here, we simply drag all the measures, dimensions, and date fields that we want to have in our super table later onto the details field. For the dates, we also need to adjust the format to exact date. And this is all we need for preparation, so we can move back to our dashboard. To make our source sheet available for the SuperTables dashboard extension, we need to pull it into our view. From here, we then open the configuration menu. In the General tab, we can then choose our source sheet, which has already been selected by default. If we click Apply and Close, we can see the changes. Let's make our dashboard a little wider. And we can see that we've got our fully functional super table again, in which we can again move around the different columns, also adjust column width, and make use of all the other interactive features. If we want to make further configurations like we did with the Viz extension, we can use the small arrow down here and click on Configure. This will then again open the whole configuration menu, where we can make adjustments to our data display, apply different actions, adjust the appearance of our table elements, and so on. Finally, to get rid of our source sheet inside the dashboard, we can go ahead and make it a floating object. We then reduce its size to 1 by 1 pixels and move it somewhere to the corner of the dashboard, and in that way it is not visible anymore. Overall, we always recommend to use Viz Extensions, as it saves us the extra step of creating the source sheet. In the next video, we will learn how to apply conditional coloring to our SuperTables. If you found this video helpful, please leave a like and a comment and consider subscribing to our channel.